Well, this is a nice easy one for me. Drumlara, JP and Colm are the hosts of this. One of them is actually going to come and say hello to me, I think. The official sign there. Colm, who's come to make sure I'm okay because he saw the stroller, and there's Colm's dog running after a car. Just listen. Didn't get to the very end. It's a very long one with JP. I'll give the full names later because I've forgotten what they are. It was an interview with Edwina, and then Colm came along to kind of do connecting bits to explain things further. But in the conversation, JP started off explaining some of the property that's around here, including the new property, like what's behind me here, that Colm and his family live in, and with the dogs and the cat. And then he went on quite a while about the people who've died here and how they connect up with his ancestry. There was quite a long conversation, an interview with Edwina about the local graveyard and even about a local field that's here. It's called the graveyard because of so many people that have been buried there. So there was a lot of conversation about the famine and the effects of that. So there was quite a bit of a Gothic conversation in the ancestry, which is part of the ancestry after all, so it's worthy of this being on some of the doors around here. And then there was interesting, it was a wee bit, I would have loved to have heard more about the road building between Shemore, the famous ferry hill here, and to Leitrim village. And Edwina then started pushing JP to move along a bit to get into a bit of the mythology. What about fairy forts around here? And he did point out one fairy fort and gave a story around that one. And also there's a few burials around there as well. And then Edwina started asking about the holy wells, and it really got interesting because JP seemed a bit reluctant at first, but once he got into it, there was quite a few folk tales that were connected with that. That's very good, and he's the funniest part of it. And we actually got some laughter from him on this one. And of course, when people start talking about wells, they will go on to the fairies, they'll go on to the she, and they'll get on to the cures. But JP, he was just saying that you can make a really good cup of tea from the well water there. And then Colm came in, and he kind of connected, and he told about the well and where it was. He gave the location of the original well, and one piece of information that he gave was, and I've seen this in various parts of Ireland, even sometimes there's some wells that I visited in the early 70s, you go to them now, there's the springs coming up in a different place, and this one that made the good cup of tea, that's now dried up and it's coming up in another spot. Colm explains where that new spot is, about 200-300 yards away from the original part. Then from there got onto some farming information, and JP certainly grew oats and barley. He explained that and the fertility of the land, and also where his oats and barley went and what happened to it then. So that's also a very interesting part. Reason I didn't get to the end, it's getting dark and I'd like to get to one other place, but the conversation with Edwina was more about the family, the ancestry, and how they connected with the families they knew. So it was really a regular cup of tea, a conversation to make the connections as people do. It's a lovely thing to do. I was aware it was getting dark. It's just sun's just about setting now, so I want to get to one more place. But again, come out here. It's a half door. It's a blue half door. It's in what's going to be Colm's garden eventually. It's a large garden, so come out and visit this. You can park in front of Colm's. There's plenty of room there. Here, I'm not the first of this one. Colm says there has been people here, so there's some movement with these 21 doors in the fields around Leitrim. I'm going to try and get one more in this evening before it gets very dark. So come out here and see you at the next tree in the field.